What we saw last week was something we all agree was evil. But why are people not protesting in the same numbers as the George Floyd situation? Is it because the race card can't be played? Or is it because the weather is just cold? Or maybe, just maybe, it's because BLM and the people that want to defund the police don't actually care about police brutality. They instead only care about being politically correct. And that was on full display last week and this week. My name is Demetrios Araujo, and you are watching the Demetrios Araujo Show.
I got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Like I was saying, the Tyre Nichols situation was something we all agree was terrible, and based off of the footage, was very disturbing. But when we leave holes in the story, like when they released the video halfway through the situation, we have no choice but to make assumptions of what came before. That, as you know, is never the right move to make. Tyre is going to get justice for what he went through, and he should. But what is the real solution to police brutality? Well, I'll tell you. This kind of brutality happens way too often with police officers that think that they are above the law. The best way to fix this is by getting rid of the police unions that protect these bad cops, that have red marks on them. The best way to fix this is getting rid of the police unions that protect these bad cops that have red marks on them. By doing this, captains of the force can keep track of their officers and hold them accountable for what they do. Also, we need to rewrite the immunity that police officers have. Just like Rep. Jim Banks from Indiana introduced in Congress, this would hold police officers themselves accountable for their own actions. Not just their police station, not their police city, no, them as a person, just like the rest of us. According to Rep. Jim Banks himself, quote, "Qualified immunity is a concept that was developed by the federal case law in 1967 that protects police officers from individual liability." Kruger continued, "Law enforcement officers must make decisions in fractions of a second in gray areas of the law, and the officers should not be punished for those decisions unless they knowingly violate a person's constitutionally protected rights." So let me ask you again, do you want to be part of a change that will hold people accountable, or do you want to just sit here doing nothing? I prefer the former. If you want your voice to be heard, then reach out to our local representatives and demand they vote with Rep. Jim Banks. We need to get things done instead of sitting here doing nothing when we all know what has to be done. With that being said, let's move on to the headline of the week. Republicans boot Ilhan Omar off Foreign Affairs Committee over anti-Semitism. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy delivered on his promise Thursday to remove Rep. Omar from the House Foreign Affairs Committee over her extensive history of anti-Semitism. Of the 2022 Republicans in the House, 218 voted to remove Omar, while 3 did not vote, and 1, Rep. Dave Joyce, Republican from Ohio, voted present. That's embarrassing. Speaker Kevin McCarthy outlined many of the inflammatory and bigoted remarks that Omar has made, including the use of anti-Semitic tropes, comparing the United States military to Islamic terrorist organizations, describing the events of 9/11 as, quote, "some people did something." Among numerous other statements, McCarthy also noted that Omar has, quote, "never apologized for many of her remarks. We're not removing her from the committees," he said. "We just do not believe when it comes to the foreign affairs, especially the responsibility of the position around the world, with these comments that you make. She shouldn't serve there." McCarthy dismissed claims that Republicans were engaging in a tit-for-tat after Democrats kicked some Republicans off their committee assignments. "If it was tit for that, we would have picked people, took them off all committees, and said nothing about it," McCarthy explained. For years, Democratic leadership has failed to hold Rep. Ilhan Omar accountable for her vile, hateful, dangerous, anti-Israel, and anti-Semitic rhetoric The Republican-Jewish coalition said in a statement. Today, Republicans under Speaker Kevin McCarthy's leadership kept their promise to remove Rep. Omar from the prestigious and crucially important House Foreign Affairs Committee. ORJC has long advocated for Rep. Omar's removal from this critical committee. The statement continued. We are gratified that Rep. Omar will no longer be in a privileged position to influence legislation regarding United States policy toward Israel and the Middle East. And I completely agree. You cannot be on the Foreign Affairs Committee if you have a prejudice against a country that you're going to have to work with. You're foreign. If you have a prejudice against any of the foreign countries, then you cannot be in the foreign committee. Wow. Oh my God. That is so simple to understand. I know, right? Moving on to the next article from the Daily Wire, we have Democrat Senator urges Apple and Google to ban TikTok from app stores. Well, I don't blame them. See, we don't even have to go on with this article to show you guys why TikTok should be banned. Now, we're actually going to be watching just one TikTok that goes over why we should ban TikTok.
We shouldn't wear dresses, so let's style another dress. Maybe I'll teach something for these idiots. Everything I got, by the way, is funded directly from these haters, so you can thank them for this outfit. Let's first debunk this idea about what masculinity means. Fun fact, men used to wear wigs. Most presidents did, actually. Men wore makeup.
Okay, so the thing is, we can go back and say that men did a lot of things, but are we going to sit here and say that they were right things? No. Are we going to say that they were fashionable, correct choices? No. Not at all. Look at George Washington. Are we going to wear his hair today? Absolutely not. So what is the point being made? The point trying to be made is that since we did stuff in the past, we should keep doing it. In the past, we used medicines that killed us. Are we going to continue to use those medicines just because we did it in the past? No, we're not. Just because we, quote, did something that defies gender stereotypes does not mean we should continue to do those harmful things. And especially in kids, these things that you are trying to blend, these gender stereotypes that you're trying to blend together, the male stereotypes and the girl stereotypes, you're trying to blend together, which is detrimental to kids. Let's continue.
Theaters, because women weren't allowed to even perform back then because they didn't have rights. Also, if you're a boy and you hate pink because it's too girly, it was actually the preferred color for boys back then. But then
okay, like I said, just because something was good back then does not mean that it was good and still should continue to be good today. And the thing about makeup, yes, everybody on stage wears stage makeup, but when we get off of stage, wait, guess what? That makeup comes off because of the fact that on stage you don't see the stage makeup because the lights are so bright that you don't even see the makeup even being worn. So what's the point being made here? Well, the point trying to be made here is that since we wore makeup on stage, that means we can go out and drag in person. No, because when you go out and drag, when a guy dresses in full face makeup, that's disgusting. We don't want to see this. This is what girls do. Guys and girls have certain things that they do. If you don't agree, then you need to literally look at yourself in the mirror and say, no, I'm a guy or I'm a girl. This is what I'm going to be doing. That's just so simple. Moving on.
Because they can't. Also, if we can't wear stockings or tights, then what were they doing back then? And if you don't get why people
just because somebody wears a high sock to their knees does not mean that you can go and wear pantyhose as a guy. It does not mean that you can go and wear a skirt as a guy either, because that's disgusting. We do not want to see your junk hanging out and around on public spaces. We do not want to see that.
Here's your analogy. This is my personal style. I like dressing like this. The same way y'all think gym shorts and tank tops are stylish, because guess what? That's probably the reason you can't get any girls. And
I like how you're saying that we can't get any girls, but you're dressing like a girl. So what are you talking about? We can't get any girls. I think that's the least thing that you should be worrying about right now, as you're trying to transform yourself into looking like a girl. Talk about your obsession with girls. Second of all, so I like how you're just trying to pull like whatever. You're just trying to throw spaghetti at the wall to see whatever fits or to see whatever sticks. What does the laundry have to do with dressing up as a girl, as dressing up in a dress, as a guy dressing in a skirt? In a tutu? What does that have to do with doing the laundry? That has nothing to do with each other. I'm fully capable of doing my own laundry, in which I do every single week. So the point being made here is that since you're saying that we have gender stereotypes, that girls only know how to do the laundry. No, girls are not the only ones capable of doing the laundry, but they're the ones that are going to be staying home because the men are going to go out and work, providing for their family, when the girls stay home peacefully and take care of the kids and enjoying their life. When the men go outside and work, earn the money for their family. That's the roles that we have. That's what makes everybody have a happier life.
Your mom does it. Needs a belt, right? Finally, if you insist on commenting using that Dorito-covered keyboard, just know you're funding our life. And if all it takes is for another person on the internet to dress a way you don't like for it to make you mad, that's just more about your self-esteem and masculinity, because truly confident people don't bother commenting because they got better stuff to do. But wait, you don't have a job, do you? And you play Fortnite thinking you're going to be successful. And then
What are you talking about? I am not playing Fortnite, first of all. That is the... I don't video game, first of all. Second of all, I do have a full-time job. So it's like, just because I'm commenting... See, it's like, you're noticing I'm doing something. It's the face tattoo syndrome. You are noticing that I'm doing something, so you're the problem. No, you are the problem. You, Frederick Chen, are the problem because you're dressing up in a dress as a man. That's a problem. I don't know. I don't understand how your brain is not functioning properly in realizing that that's a problem.
so what's that say about you? So the next time you even think about leaving a comment, just know you're technically a fan. And I don't think you want to be called that, because I'm pretty sure your masculinity is too fragile to handle that. But that's none of my business, is it? Have a good day. I've been getting some comments.
Okay, so just because we comment on it means that we're a fan of you. No, we're commenting on it so we can save you from the delusion that you have inside of your brain, thinking that you are a woman dressing up in girls' clothes. Girls and guys have their certain clothes. And no, I'm not making the point that girls should not wear pants because there's such thing as girls' pants. Moving on. See, that's the great example that we should have TikTok banned. It is spreading mental health issues like gender dysphoria in kids that are under the age of 13. That's very, very, very that's very, very, very magnetized to just react and to replicate exactly what they're seeing in front of their phone, because they are so connected into these apps. They did just copy the first account that they see on the app. And then they're like, oh, I like this. And then follow. And then you see them every single day. And then you turn your personality into that person. That's why we should delete TikTok, because it's spreading mental health issues. Moving on to the next segment of the Demetrios Araujo Show, we have a dozen takes.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love.
On the first article we have from CNN, we have New Jersey councilwoman I know I'm going to slaughter that name, shot and killed, authorities say. So, a 30-year-old councilwoman is in the borough of Sayreville, New Jersey, was found shot to death in her car on Wednesday, according to authorities. Dumford, a Republican councilwoman, was found by police with multiple gunshot wounds just after 7 p.m. Wednesday and pronounced dead on the scene. According to Middlesex County officials, Dunford was inside her car near her home when she was shot, according to CNN affiliate WABC. The vehicle then took off down the road and crashed into other parked vehicles, the affiliate reported. Sayreville Mayor Victoria Flipperick said she was shocked and saddened to learn of Dorfauer's death, saying that she was taken from us by a despicable criminal act. She and Dumford worked closely together, she wrote. Beyond her dedication to our community, I can share that she was a woman of deep faith and worked hard to integrate her strong Christian values into her daily life as a person and a community leader, the mayor said. On a personal note, I can adequately express my feelings of sorrow at the loss of a friend. Officials said the investigation is ongoing and they do not have a motive at this time. CNN has reached out to the prosecutors and police for more details. Dumford was elected to a 3-year term on the 6-member borough council in November 2021, according to the election results. She She also served as a member of the Human Relations Commission, according to a Sayreville website. Sayreville, located in central New Jersey, has a population of about 45,000 people, according to the United States Census. On the Sayreville GOP website from 21, Durmfor asked the public to support her run for the council. Like you, Sayreville is my home. I love and cherish this town, and it is my desire to help improve the lives of its residents, she said. In the past few years, we have seen many changes, including a worldwide pandemic, but despite all, Sayreville still stands strong because of residents like you. I am fully dedicated to stronger, better Sayreville, and with your support, we can create a brighter future for our wonderful town. New Jersey Republican Party Chairman Bob Hogan issued a statement expressing his horror and deepest sorrow at her killing. We will remember Ernest for her steadfast dedication to the community, as well as her deep and abiding Christian faith, he said. Governor Phil Murphy said in a statement he was stunned by the police Governor Phil Murphy said in a statement he was stunned by the news of her killing. Her career of public service was just the beginning, and by all accounts, she had already built a reputation as a committed member of the Borough Council, who took her responsibility with diligence and seriousness, he said. I send my condolences to the councilwoman Downfar's family and friends, her governing body colleagues, and the entire Sayreville community. And I completely agree. This should not even be a question. Why is this even happening? That the reason is that people like to go and target Republican. The one time, like the Paul Pelosi case, the one time a Democrat gets attacked, they blame Republicans right off the bat because they're so used to Democrats killing or fighting or hitting or attacking Republicans in general that when it comes to a Democrat being hit or attacked, they just automatically assume that it's political. And it may not be political at all in this case, but I'm pretty sure it is. Moving on to the next article, we have from CNN, we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez slams GOP in heated floor speech. After lawmakers voted to remove Rep. Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee, Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, denounced House Republicans for what she sees as a continued attack against women of color. Of course she's going to sit here and try to make this into a black or a white thing. It's just stupid.
I'd like to hear
Enough is
from
an ad.
As a fellow New Yorker, I think one of the things that we should talk about here is also one of the disgusting legacies after 9/11 has been the targeting and racism against Muslim Americans throughout the United States of America. And this is an extension of that legacy. Consistency, there is nothing consistent with the Republican Party's continued attack except for the racism and incitement of violence against women of color in this body.
There's no arguing against a idiot. There's no arguing against a stupid person. When you just completely just pulled out of your rear end a claim that has no significance whatsoever to the situation, there is no responding to that in any form or fashion that would make you understand. But I know what makes me understand is that she was taken off for all the right reasons and not any reason that you're actually bringing up. Like the Times of Israel, the Ilhan Omar anti-Semitism controversy explained. Like we have from the Times of Israel, we have the Ilhan Omar anti-Semitism controversy explained. Well, I would not want to look at anybody other than a Jewish person to look at anti-Semitism because that's exactly who she's attacking. Starting from the top, we have from the Times of Israel. In 2012, she tweeted that Israel had hypnotized the world, which many thought brought into age-old Semitic mortifice. Omar disavowed the tweet last month, writing on Twitter, "It's now apparent to me that I spent lots of energy putting my 2012 tweet in context and little energy in disavowing the anti-Semitic trope and I unknowingly used, which is unfortunate and offensive. It seems like she disavowed her anti-Semitic statements. What's the big deal? Less than a month after that apology, controversy reignited on Twitter. Rep. Kevin McCarthy, a Republican from California, called for action against her and her fellow Muslim congressman, Rep. Rashida Tlaib, while being vague on what action he needs to take. Omar then retweeted journalist Glenn Greenwood, a frequent critic of Israel, who shared an article about McCarthy, adding to the comment, "It's stunning how much time United States political leaders spend defending a foreign nation, even if it means attacking free speech rights of Americans." Omar wrote 6 words that would ignite debate. "It's all about the Benjamin's baby," adding a music note emoji at the end of her tweet. Okay, this just could be a reference to the Puff Daddy song, "It's All About Benjamins." Why is this so problematic? Well, we are so glad you asked, because that wasn't the end of Twitter drama. The Ford's opinion editor, Ungar Sargent, then quote tweeted Omar's Benjamin's tweet, writing, "Would love to know who Elad Omar thinks is paying American politicians to be pro-Israel. Though I think I can guess. Bad form. Congresswoman, that's a second anti-Semitic trope you've tweeted." Quoted Ungar Sargent's tweet, "You still with us?" simply writing AIPAC. And so the controversy began. Wait, what? AIPAC is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the most influential pro-Israel lobbying group. Many people began to call out Omar for repeating this anti-Semitic trope that Jewish influence governs through money. Dan Shapiro, a former United States ambassador to Israel, tweeted, "Ilan Omar's outrageous comments equaling politicians' support for Israel with being brought off of by American Jewish and are a vile anti-Semitic trope. They need to be condemned by all in our party." Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called on Omar to apologize, as did the whole Democratic caucus. That's bad when everybody disagrees with you to the House Speaker, and when Nancy Pelosi says, "Dude, you got to apologize." That's bad. Democratic House Speaker, like I just said, told her to apologize. Even Kelsey Clinton chimed in. Kelsey Clinton should not even be speaking about politics, but she has her freedom of speech and her dumb opinions, I guess. However, on the other side of the argument, many started arguing that Omar was just pointing out the influence of lobbyists. It has nothing to do with the Jews. Omar notably retweeted Jewish nationalist Ashley Frenberg, who wrote, accurately describing how the Israel lobby works and not anti-Semitism. Is calling out AIPAC anti-Semitic? No. You can criticize AIPAC without being anti-Semitic. However, when you focus on AIPAC as the example of the money in politics or link Jewish influence to deep pockets, that's when it becomes a problem. As JTA Editor-in-Chief Andrews Carlo pointed out, invoking AIPAC as a menonym for the influence of money in politics was a minefield, and the idea that she didn't know that by now, coming only a week after she apologized for her 7-year-old hypnotized tweet, is implausible. The tweet was also technically incorrect. AIPAC is not a political action committee and does not endorse or give money directly to politicians or campaigns. It does signal to supporters who might be worthy of a donation, but its self-described role is to engage lawmakers directly on the merits and substance of policy. As Bent Staisley pointed out in the Washington Post, interest groups have always been an important part of the policy-making process in the United States. It is normal, not nefarious, that interest groups lobby Congress, the executive with the bureaucracy to get their priorities on the agenda. Interest groups play such a role on almost every issue, and many of them are highly effective in shaping agendas votes. So perhaps it was an issue that Omar singled out AIPAC, and for what it's worth, she apologized, tweeting, "Anti-Semitism is real, and I'm grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes." She apologized. What's the problem now? The Times of Israel says. There's many issues, but let's break it down on three main ones. Anti-Semitism only seems to be a problem when the other side does it. The Democrats may or may not have an Israel problem. And what about the American Jewish community? Those are the three main things, so let's start at the beginning. That become a frequent about the people on both sides of the political divide. The left says the right only cares about anti-Semitism if the liberal or Israel critic is involved. The right says the left loves to beat up on right-wing anti-Semites but ignores the Jew haters in their mightest. In this case, the left is calling Republicans hypocritical for focusing on Omar. Who is Kevin McCarthy to call out Omar on anti-Semitism, say his critics? When he once accused Jewish billionaires George Soros and Michael Bloomberg of trying to buy the midterm elections. And don't get him started on Rep. Steve King from Iowa, who got away with racially charged anti-immigrant rhetoric for years. As David Scrapp wrote in JTA, Republicans seem similarly inclined to cast stones at liberals while ignoring the literal Nazi apologists in their modest. The Democrats may or may not have an Israel problem. This is the second point. Many of the, quote, hot takes coming out of the whole thing has focused on the Democratic Party in the 2020 elections. As Max Fisher and Amanda Taube wrote in the Interpreter newsletter for the New York Times, a serious debate over whether the party should recalibrate its position on Israel is all but inviable. The infighting over Miss Omar's tweets, while less about Israel per se than tangible issues of lobbying and anti-Semitism, showed how much anger and distrust this issue can bring out. Polls show younger Democrats are more likely to be critical of Israel's current government, even Zionism, and I'm butchering that name, in general. Then the Democratic establishment, centrist Democrats, insist that the party is still solidly pro-Israel. But both Republicans and Israel's harshest critics insist that Omar represents the, quote, new normal for Democrat voters and politicians. Many Democrats assert that you can still be pro-Israel and criticize the Israeli government, but they increasingly feel caught in the middle. What about the American Jewish community? That's an eternal question, isn't it? For many American Jews, it feels like you still have to choose between the manifestation of anti-Semitism you feel. Is it the newly empowered alt-right, rising white supremacy, and increasing number of hate crimes? The growing anti-Israel left, which wants to delegitimize the only state. Partisan politics makes it feel like American Jews have to choose, when in reality, American Jews can and do feel impacted by both. We can be heartbroken over Pittsburgh and frustrated by the leadership of the Women's March. And then there's the internal politics of being an American Jew, aka the widening split within the liberal American Jewish community regarding Israel, which centers on the question, is being supportive of Israel a central tenet of American Jewish identity, or being pro-Israel, however you choose to define that, becoming a less important part of voting as an American Jew? If it's the former, Omar's comments are deeply upsetting and reinforce the idea that Democrats' party's views on Israel are drifting or left. If it's the latter, the Israel isn't important to me camp, then Omar simply representing the progressive view on the pro-Israel movement and being unfairly criticized for it. So I would prefer the latter. So yeah, they're more center-leaning. I do not like Ilhan Omar at all, and I completely agree that she should be knocked out of all positions within her, not just committee, but I think that she should be knocked out of the Republican space altogether. But moving on to the next article from MSNBC, we actually have the morbid plan to avoid Trump winning the GOP nomination. Donald Trump is an electoral disaster for the Republican Party, says MSNBC columnist Michael A. Cohen. He cost the GOP control of the House of Representatives in 2018, lost the presidency in 2020, and contributed to the party's underperformance in 2022, says Cohen. So, how to stop Trump from wreaking havoc in 2024? Apparently, some desperate Republicans are simply hoping he dies before the election. Who's thinking this? I'm not exaggerating. Earlier this week, Atlanta's McKee Coppins recounted multiple conversations with Republican officials who see no way to stop Trump from destroying the party in yet another electoral cycle. How about if you just vote for somebody else? It's so simple. And how about if you just educate yourself? Because if you think that Trump is the one ruining the party, then you should not be voting in any elections. According to the former Michigan Rep. Peter Meyer, you have a lot of folks who are just wishing for Trump's mortal demise. I want to be clear, I'm not in that camp, but I've heard from a lot of people who will go on stage and put on a red hat and then give him a call the next day and say, I can't wait until the guy dies. Compton's noted on Mark Levinovich in his recent book, Thank You for Your Servitude, quotes a former Republican representative saying of Trump, we're just waiting for him to die. It's a reenactment of the Seinfeld episode in which George, desperate out of his impending wedding to Susan, wishes that she might take a plane somewhere. What hope for cash? Jerry asks. It happens, George says. Trump is 76 years old and has a heating... Okay, now this paragraph is just a blatant attack on Trump personally. Trump is a 76-year-old. He has the eating habits of a teenage boy. Views exercise with the same dismay he does modesty. He is seemingly permanently stressed and enraged. But this is one for the GOP's plans. You've pretty much thrown in the towel, or at least the very last technically acknowledged that you have no political courage whatsoever. For a party that has long preached the virtues of determination, resolve, and rugged individualism, the level of cowardice is shocking, says this NBC writer. Okay, so this does not even make any sense. If you do not like what Trump is doing, then that's one story. That's one different thing entirely. But for you to wish that somebody dies simply because you don't want them to run as president is a other thing. It's just so absurd to me. Why, instead of just voting for somebody else, you simply would just wish that this candidate would die? Why wish that they would die? How about you just vote for somebody else? Talking about morbid, the title of this article is correct. Moving into the next MSNBC article, we actually have, like most of the great ones, quarterback Tom Brady refused to go out on top. Okay, so little disclaimer, I'm from New England. Tom Brady is very popular in New England, saying that he came from the New England Patriots. So, if you say something about the Tom Brady, okay, and I don't know, MSNBC article, Kevin Sibid, that's from the David Zurin, MSNBC opinion columnist. I swear to God, if you say something about the Tom Brady, it appears that Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady is at long last done with the National Football League. In a Twitter video that ran the gammer from the emotional to the stoic, Brady announced Wednesday that he is retiring from the greatest career in the history of North American team sports. After 23 seasons, 10 Super Bowl appearances, 9 of them with the New England Patriots, and an unparalleled 7 rings at the game's most important position, the 45-year-old Brady has decided to hang it up. There will undoubtedly be those who predict that retirement, like last year's, will be short-lived. The tone of the video Brady's post suggests otherwise. He said, I know the process was a very big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. I won't be long-winded. You only will get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year, so really thank you guys so much to every single one of you supporting me. And I appreciate that. You're not going to be over emotional every single time you get on in front of your fans. You're just going to say, no, I was emotional one time. I'm allowing myself one emotional public crap, and that's it. I can respect a guy like that. Another reason to assume that Brady is retired for good is that this was the season when Father Time finally caught up to the ageless one. Okay. So what are you saying, that he's old? Yeah, I mean, he might be the oldest person on the team. But he's better than most people on the team. The great athlete who is unable to quit before his body and his reputation suffer is practically a cliche. In this football season, Brady proved for the first time in his charmed life that he would be no exception to the rule. He led a team to a losing record for the first time in its 22 seasons as a starter. He only made the playoffs because every division sends a team. And the other teams in the NFL, South more. Then on January 16, Brady's Bucks lost 34-14 at home to the Dallas Cowboys, and the game really wasn't even that close. Brady completed 35 of the 56 passes with 2 touchdowns and an interception, finishing with a subpar passer rating of 72. A perfect rating is 158. That the miserable end to his season came so soon after his October divorce from Super Bowl Gisele Bündchen. One has to conclude that there have been better years in his life of Tom Brady. Bündchen reportedly was upset that Brady announced his retirement at the end of 2021 to 2022, and then announced his return to the league a few weeks later. And what an ending it would have been if Brady had stayed retired. In 2021 to 2022 season, Brady not only put distance between himself and just about every NFL quarterback in the records book, but he also won the quarterbacking triple crown, leading the league in competitions, passing yards, and touchdowns. His last playoff game of the season featured a playoff comeback against the Los Angeles Rams and was a reinstatement of his win against the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl LI, after his New England Patriots team trailed 28-3 in the second half. In the Rams game, the Bucks were down 27-3 before Brady brought them back up to a 27-27 time. But then he stood on the sidelines and watched the Rams win 30-27. Goal. So what you're saying is that he's the greatest of all time. He won 7 rings. He brought his team to multiple Super Bowls, but you're saying good enough? That argument just makes no sense at all. Now, moving right from that, we're going to skip a few articles because we're kind of running out of time, and we're just going to skip to this article here. Britney Spears accuses Alyssa Milano of bullying for suggesting fans go check on her. Why is this even a question? Of course she has mental issues. Of course she has something wrong with her. If you see her TikToks, if you see her social media videos, you can clearly tell that she has a mental disorder. This is exactly why her dad had custody over her. That's why her dad had the conservatorship for her. But of course they want to make it about, oh my God, her freedom. How about you pay attention to the facts and realize that Britney Spears has lost her mind. When she was younger, her family would give her nickel. When she was younger, her parents used to give her lithium. And now you can actually see the psychology behind it. You can see how crazy she actually became from using this lithium. Moving with the article, Britney Spears accused Alyssa Milano of, quote, bullying after an incident which involved police coming to her house at the request of fans. What are you talking about? They're at the request of fans. What do the fans have anything to do with this situation whatsoever? It started back in December when Milano responded to a video Spears has posted on Instagram. Somebody please go check on Britney Spears. The brazen actress posted on a tweet on December 21st. Now, this was her little Christmas present to Britney Spears. Now, you should be thanking her, but instead, She responded to the message via her Instagram account on Tuesday night. Spears posted a screenshot of the tweet and shared her thoughts with more than 41 million of her followers. It saddens to see things about me from people who don't even know me. This definitely feels like a form of bullying, Spears wrote on her Instagram story. Ladies, we are supposed to be rooting for one another, not pulling each other down. That's what she said. A rep for Milano told TMZ that the actress reached out to Spears privately Wednesday to apologize after she saw the Instagram story. What do you mean apologize? She's lost her mind. And now you're just going to neglect that because she posted you on her story? And stay by your original gut feeling and accept the fact that Britney Spears has something psychotically wrong with her. There's a good chance that, quote, toxic singer is feeling sensitive following the incident, which inspired the police to visit her home late at night after concerned fans kept calling them. They were allegedly worried about Spears deactivating her Instagram account, which she has done several times in the past. And what does it matter if she Okay, she can delete her Instagram account. I think it's going to be even better for her to not even have an Instagram account. Police were called to my home based on some prank calls. I love it for my fans, but this time things were a little too far and my privacy was violated, this singer shared on Instagram. The police never entered my home, and when they came to my gate, they quickly realized there was no issue and left immediately. Spears followed up with an explanation on to why she deactivated her social media account in the first place, which had to do with a fans similar to Milano's. Quote, I shut down my Instagram because there was too many people saying I looked like an idiot dancing and that I looked crazy, Spears shared upon her return. Yes, because she actually does look crazy in her social media platform. I shut down that's what I just said. Yes, I took down my Instagram. Now it's back up because I can, she said in a later update, which she has been since deleted. Since everyone thinks they know my story, think again, she continued. It is what it is. Nope, I'm not having a breakdown. I am who I am, and I'm moving forward with my life. I have never felt better. That's exactly why you're dancing in your kitchen, just in your bra and underwear, and posting it on your social media websites, your social media platforms. A person that is completely in the right mind will not do that. Damaging. Now, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. If you did enjoy this, If you did enjoy this video, and you do enjoy the show, please like and subscribe so you can see every single episode that we post. We do post Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do post song reactions every single Saturday. Thank you all for watching, and I hope they have a great rest of your day.